Welcome to Debt to Cinema. I'm Stephen Maltmanex.
And I'm Brian Gillis. Like most people, we love going to the theater and catching latest releases. However, you can sadly put a big dent in your wallet.
Fortunately, living in the digital age makes the viewing possibilities endless from the comforts of home.
Many of these films that you can see right from your couch, we're ashamed to say we missed, despite labeling ourselves cinephiles.
So join us as one or both of us cross off a title from our list of shame.
It can be an all-time essential classic,
or an underrated piece of cinema that's worth giving a shot.
Hell, it might just be some trashy film we want the other's opinion on. So sit tight and join us as we pay off our debts, $1 at a time.
I suppose with Blade Runner 2049 coming out, and then with Halloween, this is a decent fit, right?
I've already started my Halloween thing, and I've seen Blade Runner also, so I don't know about
just
that.
Just a dystopian future and uniqueness of vision, and maybe, just maybe as far as a polarizing reaction, in the case of Blade Runner, I don't know, but hey, man, I mean, Ron Perlman, though, I guess, especially at this time, just still working with interesting filmmakers, going as far as to just go out his way to speak a language that he does not understand, and doing it somewhat well, even though it's kind of obvious that he doesn't.
He's not too dissimilar, actually, from his character in Kronos. He's just, he's bulking, he can do anything. I mean, he's literally a strong man here.
Yeah.
Like, the whole movie's about him saving his little brother, who's not actually his little brother. It's just like his friend who's a kid, and he gets a little sister who is also just some little girl who hangs around him. But at least she knows what's going on, whereas, the main kid here, whose name I forget, who's unimportant because he says not a single line of dialogue, and he just eats all the time, which made me, have fondness for him. He's like probably the Frenchest character in this movie.
This is one of those movies where it's definitely the kids in the world that are smarter than the adults. Mm-hmm. It's so weird because I still don't exactly know how to peg what I think of this, and I guess I got to trace it back to Pierre-Jeunet, just his stuff in general. I know
Besides
lot of people.
Amelie.
That's the thing. Even Amelie too. I know people have great affection for Amelie. I think it's fine.
Amelie's a weird fucking movie, but it's one of those things that you can show to anyone. Like, oh, this is a real tender, loving, like, great romance. Whereas if you look at, Delicatessen or even Alien Resurrection is only American film, especially Micmacs, which I've seen, and then this one, they're all really fucking weird. Like, true art cinema, where you can tell, unlike something, like David Lynch, where this isn't meant to confuse you, it's meant to invoke a certain kind of mood and tone. And the one here, I'm not a fan of German Expressionism, but this is like that just form nailed, especially in the turn of the 21st century, with the minimal use of CG here and just computer effects at all. I feel kind of queasy watching this.
Well, speaking of which, quick special effects shout out to Petoff, who directed Catwoman. So,
did he work on this?
No. That was the thing. I'm pretty sure I mentioned that, but he was Jeannot's visual super effects guy before he went off and directed. So yeah, that's where the sensibility of that movie, like, that's part of why I was able to give it a positive review. Is I was like, that's the kind of filmmaking it is. That's exactly why it's so absurd. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Again, we have an episode where we give Catwoman a genuine positive review, and that is a part of it. I swear, that sensibility really, it's in there. It makes sense to me when I'm watching that this is actually pretty good. Even, I'm not harping on it here, but I will say this. I mean, the opening right off the bat, that's probably the highest point for me with, the dream where the kid is seeing one Santa Claus come in, and it's
right away. I was like, is this a Christmas movie, a Halloween movie?
It's really the most unnerving Coca-Cola Santa Claus commercial that you see at the beginning, and then all of a sudden there's a bunch of them, and nothing exactly is going on, but it just, with the distorted lenses and the effects there, like, that's a good hook, but it was very uncomfortable, and I thought it was working really well, but there's a lot of things in this movie that do work. It's an interesting just mix of a ton of style over substance, and for the most part it is really entertaining, but when it was done I was just like, I don't exactly know how to feel about this. It kind of actually makes it easier for me to, I guess, appreciate Alien Resurrection more, and also, I guess, just understand Jeannot better as a filmmaker. But I mean, this is also kind of as ugly as that in the same way, where it's definitely visually interesting, but it's not really pretty to look at.
It's like not. It's drab for sure.
People complain about blockbusters that look like way too blue, or something from DC looking way too gray or something. This is way too much fucking yellow. Like, there's just something about it. Like, I never am one to really complain about that, but there's just something really just off about looking at the frame. Like, too much just green/yellow that it looks kind of sick. Like the frame itself is about to puke,
I read this weird thing that seems too fake to be made up, where like they put basically whiteface on all the actors and then colored the scenes so it looked like flesh tone, so everything was, unrealistic. Because that's how it is. Like, this is supposed to be some French city by the sea, but this is, like a Spanish, English, French co-production. It's got 2 directors, like 3 writers. It ends with a song in English. Its quote-unquote star is American. It stars children, like it has this weird... It takes place in dreams. Like, this is a full 15 years before Inception, and it basically does the same thing. It's even more confusing here. Why is there this island out in the minefield? Why do they have the tattoos? Why are these girls working for this circus freak stealing things for her? What's up with the fleas? You have all these questions here, and yet the story, or not even the story, but this journey that you're taking on with One and Miette, I wouldn't say it's powerful, but it's mesmerizing enough that you kind of, for at least the 2-hour runtime, kind of don't think about them. It does a pretty good job of kind of just lulling your insecurities or uneasiness, even if the film is proactively making you uneasy.
It's one of those things where, like, there's something very just nice and undeniably sweet about the relationship between the Frankenstein monster and the little girl, but then it's just everything about it seems wrong at the same time, and it's kind of that play on that really works. But you also, like, you just threw up a ton of different stuff there, and I guess multi-layered is the proper way to, I guess, describe all this, because there is a lot here. It's really just jammed together.
Yeah.
To me, though, like, it is kind of like watching a kid sort of just have fun with his toys in the sandbox and just use every single toy that he has in, like, this massive sandbox and putting them together and trying to make sense of why they would all exist together. And in that way, it's kind of fun watching that. Like, there's that general, like, just sense of fun throughout this thing, which I keep wanting to say Jeannot, but watching this, I realize, no, it's Jeannot and Caro. Like, it's credited as a film by Jeannot and Caro, and just the whole time, and I was like, who the fuck is Marc Caro? And I guess we can blame Alien Resurrection for splitting the two up, but yeah, that's just the way that credit was split up, mise-en-scène and artistic direction. I had never seen that before, so that's very interesting that a partnership is put together like that. It's part of just the uniqueness of that credit itself is just another thing to add with the uniqueness of the film.
Like, authorship is one of those things that people throw around, especially now. It's a film by. It's not just a movie, it's a film by. Who created it? Who's the singular force behind it? And this isn't a singular force. Like you said, it's a tandem, it's a duo, and they each did something important. Like, neither one of them gets the sole credit, and neither one of them wanted the sole credit. Like, unlike the Coen brothers, who really knows who does what? Joel's the one that gets most of the credit. Ethan might be the smart one, but they could do it without one another. They like doing it together,
Well, it's like they've only done 2 movies, and I don't really know what Marc Caro did afterwards. I mean,
his career's kind of empty.
It just seems like what I saw from Jeannot from after this, it seems like maybe it's more him. It might be like one of those things where between Guy Ritchie and Matthew Vaughn, which one's stronger? Oh, we found out maybe it was Matthew Vaughn.
Maybe Caro's the one who's dark and brooding and that people didn't vibe with, and that would explain why, Amelie and not Alien Resurrection, throw that one away, but Micmacs especially, and I haven't seen the 1 or 2 other films that he did post this, but this and Delicatessen, they share a mood. In this one, it's like, oh, children are having bad dreams. why are these scientists stealing them, and why is there a brain in a fish tank talking to people, and what's up with the 6 clones and the midget
Irwin's
woman?
probably the best character for me, the brain in the box. But yeah, all the clones, which I caught that was one of the guys from Alien Resurrection. I think the one in the wheelchair, but
I think he's in Delicatessen too.
Yeah, he must be a frequent collaborator, but. Man, I don't know, that part really annoyed the hell out of me. Like these very childlike clones that are just, especially like at the beginning when there's the distorted close up on them, on their lips, and they're screaming, and then you see like a little pressure meter just breaking, and it's that kind of humor where I'm just I don't know, I don't think it's fair to say very French, but there's just something about it where I guess it doesn't.
It's very French.
It doesn't click with me at all. Like. It's very strange offbeat humor, and it's definitely polarizing, to be fair. Like I'm not gonna harp on it, but yeah, I don't know, it just doesn't gel with me. Like stuff like Ron Perlman drinking at the bar though when he thinks that the Miette is dead, and this
just fucking weird, just not
that stuff
not
was funny
pieced
though,
together well.
Yeah.
It's like it was pretty funny, kind of charming. This lady.
That's a credit to Ron
him.
Perlman too, and just how he's playing it.
Yeah, maybe that scene. Maybe the realization with the dog and the basket of food. This is the way food is portrayed here. Like same in Delicatessen. Like that dog with the pulley system where he can't get the food, and that whole thing, or the kid that won't stop eating, even eating candles. And then he doesn't like the candle, so he eats another one. The little visual touches here or there, where like maybe the movie's not funny. But, for instance, like the Deus Ex Machina here, when Miette somehow cries a single tear that hits a spider's web that makes this happen, and then a bird shit on a windshield, and that driver hit a hydrant, and that water go up and flood this, and then go through this room, so... Like the the Moulin Rouge or whatever gets flooded, and all the topless girls can like distract this electrician, which makes the power outage happen, which means the lighthouse can't help the boats, and this boat comes to the pier and fucking breaks it in half right in front of the octopus, the conjoined twins here out of Big Fish.
Seriously, I wonder if someone's listening to you for the first time, just not like knowing anything about this movie, and they're like, "This has to be the most insane fucking thing. Like, what is this? What is going on?"
Yeah,
like,
that's kind of what the film is, though.
Yeah, don't forget about the fly, the close-ups that like inject the
fleas. They're fleas.
Yeah, those shots are amazing, by the way.
Yeah, not the green gas though. That's the worst. Through windows.
That's the fakest.
Yeah, that's so bad.
You can be forgiving
CG.
of that, but yeah, that really did not look good.
Yeah, especially because the look of this film, it's such a dark, obscured, almost slanted film. I wouldn't be surprised like if window frames and doors are at angles instead of straight, like literally like an expressionist film. As it just, like I said, my stomach, I feel kind of queasy. Like I just do right now. Just the way that the camera is obscured and almost distorts reality, especially in this dream world that you don't spend much time in. Like
it really is just the color too that just. I mean, just green and yellow, like that dominating your frame.
There are dark films out there that I've seen. I mean, you could use The Matrix or the Zack Snyder DC films.
Also, Matrix has real world scenes that kind of offset that. But I mean, it does also sort of work here, I guess, like to dark sort of world. Offset an environmental problem. But I don't know. At the same time, like that works in Gattaca, and yet that manages to be very sleek at the same time and very. Just quiet and not like frenetic. Here it's weird because there's like a lot of plays with lenses and a lot of really weird close-ups happening.
I think the last time I saw a film that made me feel this way is when I saw Irreversible by another French filmmaker, Gaspar Noé. And the way that film begins, it is literally created with the intention of making you sick. There is a decibel that is played to you at a frequency, it's a frequency that is inaudible, but literally makes you feel the way earthquakes have an effect on you. Yeah. It causes literal body trauma. They did that on purpose. And I mean, the subject matter of that film also, it's irreversible. It's about a rape. That's like cutting it short. It's a really interesting film just in terms of story time and screen time and how non-linear, reverse linear filmmaking can work. But no, I feel somewhat sick right now. I didn't watch this on an empty stomach. it was intentional, especially towards the end when you have that final, confrontation or battle with the dragon or whatever hero journey pipeline you want to get surf down. When you get there, when the big bad is confronted by this little girl, when you have like the ultimate evil versus the ultimate good, this purity, it fucks with you. It's playing with you. Like, you can tell that these directors are pulling strings effectively at that. That after one feature film and a couple of shorts, that they have mastered their craft. They know exactly what they're doing, not just with the camera. Maybe Patof is helping with that too. Not just with color, not just with framing or fashion or music, but all of these factors in one, and how they can paint a picture, how film can express an idea and a mood unlike any other artwork, because it is the totality of all art. It is pictures, it's photography, it's painting, it's music, it's sound, it's fashion. It's all in one, and this is all in one. Like you said, when you picked it, you're like, well, I know it's not a scary movie, but it's supposed to be creepy. I wouldn't even say this film is creepy. It's unsettling is what it is. Like, it, not because of the content, like, I was almost reminded of Laika movies, to be honest. Like, I felt like a little bit of Box Trolls or Coraline here, especially Paranorman. Just like, not just the color or like these kids doing these grown-up things, but when it comes to Box Trolls in particular, just like this idea of this society, the Eye or whatever, who, once again, what the fuck are they doing in this film? Like, why are these people blind? Where do they get these devices? Like, why is it steampunk?
Speaking of disorienting and uncomfortable, when the guy's like eyes unplugged, and then what? That's so fucked up.
That was awesome. It reminded me of Strange Days, when the killer makes that woman watch herself being raped.
Oh yeah, jeez.
Yeah,
that.
Yeah. I had and these came out the same year too. Wait, no, was Strange Days in '95?
Yeah, '95.
I want to say it was. Yeah. Yeah, fucking brutal, like... Yeah, that one sequence. I mean, I did like how those eyes saw in, like, a dot matrix green. Cool, just artistic flourish there. They made a fucking video game for this movie, man. There's a PC point-and-click adventure, and it was even on the PlayStation, the original PlayStation in 1995. It was, like, in the launch window.
I mean, to be fair, like,
scary to think about.
The look for this movie, though, I mean, the design for it, it's weird because you brought up Laika and now the video game. Like, just based on the look, I could see, like, this movie could have been stop motion. Maybe it would have played better just based on the world and the craziness of it. Like, there's definitely an animated quality to it, and I mean, a video game, like, I could totally see some BioShock in this now that I'm thinking about it.
I mean, there's more BioShock in Dark World, but this version of dystopian society and life, this lighthouse and a fucking, like, crazy man's headquarters out in the ocean. But I even felt, I already kind of did a shout out to Big Fish with the conjoined twins and the Circus Freaks. This feels kind of like Tim Burton, too. Like, just, this isn't too far from, like, Nightmare Before Christmas type thing.
It's like a mix of Tim Burton and Terry Gilliam.
Yeah, like, there's some Brazil here, too.
Yeah.
Just so French, so weird, so, like I said, not scary, not spooky, but almost sickening. It's, despite, like, it's soft core, it's, like, pure at heart aesthetic.
Yeah, like, there's something very pleasing just about, like, the way that this is put together, where it oozes passion in every frame, but it's like I don't know. To its credit, I don't exactly know how to describe the effect it had on me.
I mean, Kronos wasn't too dissimilar. That's a quote-unquote fairy tale. Maybe it's a reinvention of a folklore.
But I think it's easier to understand what it's doing, whereas this is just like throwing a bunch of things at you.
It's straightforward. Yeah. I mean, because even if Kronos has mystery and it has these questions that it raises, and it might also be dark and drab and moody, and there might be blood and vampires and stuff like that. It might be in a foreign language as well. This one is... It's confusing, and it's just all over the place.
It's the bizarreness of the world, and, like, every corner you're learning, like, okay, this exists in this world, and these are the rules, and this is how things operate, and this is how logic works here. It's always a bunch of stuff just, like, narratively is just frenetic and throws a ton of stuff at you, but it's never uninteresting.
Like I mentioned it. Have you seen Dark World? I don't think, probably not. It came out.
I don't think so.
I believe it was '97 that it was released. So like also only a couple of years before The Matrix.
Not Dark City, right?
Dark City, excuse me.
Yeah, okay, I've seen Dark City. Yeah,
there's something similar between these two. Also, just in the way that world is painted, the way it looks, its sense of almost, also this German expressionist feel that's also like hybrid with this steampunk or dystopian near future where everything is wrong but you don't know why, but you don't want to live there.
Well, I mean, it's kind of the same thing with The Matrix, like The Matrix itself, though. Like Dark City has that quality where like you're learning about the world that you're in and how it functions and how it works. Here it just is.
And I think that's why it's even more troubling, why it's more uneasy to come to grips with, because these are still children. That people are still maybe not falling in love, but are having sex, are procreating, are getting drunk, are partying. They're definitely eating. They still have dogs. You don't really see them shopping, but our man here, Ron Perlman, he's a sideshow artist. He's the strong man at the fair. Like look at me. Like one of the first lines of dialogue in this film is, look how strong this man is. He's going to tear a steel apart, blah, blah, blah.
And then the guy introducing him.
Yeah, like right away he gets stabbed. Oh no, he's fallen sick. Like people are still seeking escapism in this world. Like, of course, because, the worse reality is, the more you want to avoid it. And it's funny that, that this is some kind of steampunk future. So they might have these weird eyes that these cyborgs look out and their fancy ears. And they might have radar and boats and I would assume planes. And they definitely have these fucking weird-ass fleas that can play music to make people do things, which, oh my god, like I wouldn't say this movie's all over the place. Like, it deserves more credit for that. I'm sure if you talk to Jeannot or Caro, they could definitely paint it out and spell everything out for you.
It probably is in the best sense. It is very overwhelming when you're diving into this, where you're just like, whoa, like, what's going on here? Like, I do think a second viewing will be warranted on this. Like, if I
I agree with you. Like, I'm not gonna rush out to watch this one. I think it is worth a rewatch, like any of their films are, or his films, whoever you want to give credit to on this one. But I think that this, maybe while like drinking absinthe, or if you're like really high, or like if you're not sober, I think this film would play a lot better. Maybe even just like drinking like some tea, herbal or otherwise.
Like, yeah, I mean, this thing is a hallucinatory trip on its own. Like, it definitely leaves you feeling a certain way after it, where you're just kind of off.
It might end, but this story is not over. Only 3 people die. This brain and these 6 clones are going somewhere. Ron Perlman and these children are going somewhere. Now, like you said, he has a little brother and a little sister, which, coincidentally makes sense in this BioShock analogy that we kind of painted. Like, what are they going to do? What's up with the cyborgs, Like, they don't have the contract. Maybe the octopus is dead, but what about those kids? Like, what's going to happen? Like,
that is the thing, is that the ending is very, very sudden, which,
it's not an ending.
There was a goal. He went for it right off the bat, and that was it. It's just, okay, he succeeded in saving his little brother.
Like, the fucked up part, too, is that they come to save the day. They rescue him from this dream tank. He's out of his chains, and his first thought, just like his first thought at any point in this movie, is, "Oh, I need to eat something," which you paint as just the film kind of conveying the fact that there's a scarcity of food here. That no one really has food laying around, like it's hard to come by, like no one really has money perhaps, and just the way that they're dressed. But at the same time, it's like, dude, your like best friend, brother, uncle, whatever, just risked his life to help you, and you can't even stay with the other kids. you need to get some, like, fucking bell peppers, like, and how did they even get that food? They're in the middle of the ocean. Why didn't they show them, like, actually boat out there? Did they take a submarine? Did they fly? Like, how did he walk underwater, you know, the original inventor or whatever, and just pass all the mines? He didn't even need the mine map. Better than that, you see Ron Perlman literally, he literally pushed off a mine with an oar. Why didn't it blow up?
You have to hit the spike, though, right? Like, isn't that how mines work? Like, once the spike closes in, that's how they explode?
When the mine is that big, what difference does it make? You know, like, you'd have to be crazy.
It's a mine that's that big. Like, let's say if a ship came through, then you wouldn't be able to do that. But if you're rowing, then you could easily push off against it.
Maybe.
Just from that.
I don't know.
Yeah.
In October for Halloween, like, I don't regret this. Like, initially, like I said, I was like, is this a fucking Halloween movie? What am I watching? But now, you know, especially in talking about it, this totally fits the mood of the season. Like, this is a truly, truly not a supernatural film, but a spooky film. Yeah, you know, like this is the right thing to have some cider and light some candles, maybe carve a pumpkin during. I want to give it a silver dollar.
I am giving it a silver dollar. Just based on merit alone.
It's impressive filmmaking. It truly, truly is. Because it's not a dime a dozen. It's not a wooden nickel. I can't buy it. So I think I have to give it a silver dollar. Because it's impressive filmmaking. It just truly is. And maybe it's to its merit that I have these questions and I want answers for them. But at the same time, come on, man. That's why I hate art films. It's amateurish. You shouldn't have people questioning the movie. You should make a movie that has answers. But that's my grievance with art films.
I don't ask too many questions. I usually, like, in this case, I don't think that they need them. You know, it's very clear what kind of movie it is after a certain point.
Need it.
Yeah, that's just like you know, like you kind of accept it for what it is and what it's going to give you, and you just kind of fall into it in a way. Like, I really wasn't sure what to think exactly right after this. Like, I started kind of having fun with it. You know, just the finale and, you know, the stuff with the kids breaking in. Like, it was kind of like an amusing little fun watch. But yeah, no, it's just based on merit alone. Like, there is nothing else like this. You can thank Caro and Germain for that, and Germain still making interesting stuff. Yeah, I think though I have a better understanding of Germain now, and as well as I think it's safe for me to say I don't exactly like his stuff, but you know, when I do see it, I am kind of fascinated by it. So there is that going for it.
I need to rewatch Amelie. It's been a very long time since I've seen it.
Amelie's
but
good.
I do remember very much so liking that film, and it's just the way it illustrates what romanticism is. Not in terms of, oh, it's a romance or it's a film about romance, but literally what being a romantic is like. That, you know, this girl will just see this filmmaker's work, and better yet, see Catwoman.
And listen to the episode. I swear, it's a good movie.
Thanks for listening. We hope it's been a pleasure.
If you enjoyed this episode, you can listen to more by checking out the Dollar Reviews show, where we cover theatrical and streaming releases, as well as give our 2 cents on anything we sought out on our own, whether that be TV, music, etc.
You can find all of our content at dollarreviews.net. Follow us on Twitter, or like us on Facebook at Dollar Reviews.
And we're also on Google Play Music, iTunes, Pocket Cast, TuneIn, Stitcher, SoundCloud, YouTube, just about anywhere on the internet, with hours of content available to you for free. But for those of you that feel that the show is worth your dollar, you can send us a donation at patreon.com/dollarreviews. Contributions not only earn our undying love, but they also make it possible for us to improve our recording equipment and to give you the highest quality episodes possible. But more importantly, they'd be helping us acquire the content to review. You know, trips to the multiplex are expensive, and the more donations we receive, the more films we can review for your listening pleasure.
If you listen somewhere we're currently not available, you'd like to contribute some talking points, send a Death to Cinema request, or if you just want to laugh at us, you can do so by reaching out to us on social media or send an email to brian@dollarreviews.net.
Or you can email me as well, steve@dollarreviews.net.
You can follow me personally on Twitter at Brian Gillis, that's BryonGillis, and now you know how to spell the email too, and also under the same name on the Love You site Letterboxd, which acts as my film diary, where I where I rate films I'm watching, write the occasional review, and even sometimes compile lists.
You can also find me on Twitter at S_MTX, and also follow my film diary at Letterboxd under the same name, where I log everything I watch, and sometimes write brief reviews.
That's it for this week. Until next time, keep the change.